everybody, it's Chris at the Cloverdale Transit Authority, and today's video is about rolling stock, and specifically rolling stock that a friend of mine was thinning out of his model railroad collection, and he came by and said, hey, you might be interested in this, because he knows specifically I collect certain things within my model railroad collection, and that is post-war Lionel, 1946 through 1969, and also rolling stock or engines or whatever that have a relationship to Ohio, and that could be a piece of rolling stock that is labeled from a company that was or is here in Ohio. Also, rolling stock that is a railroad that is operating or did operate here in Ohio, was based in Ohio, and then rolling stock that either is or was a big part of Ohio. It had big operations going on in Ohio, though they may not have been based here. So that's what he specifically brought me. So I'm going to take a look at each one of these and kind of talk a little bit about it, and maybe you've got some of these pieces on your model railroad, or you might down in the comments talk a little bit about what your favorite piece of rolling stock is in your collection. And also, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. So let's get started. First thing we're going to talk about is this piece is the only piece that is not in the box, and this is the Bessemer and Lake Erie boxcar. So Bessemer and Lake Erie is a railroad that is based here in Ohio, large operation up near Conneaut, Ohio, and that is in the upper northeast corner of the state, right on Lake Erie, and thus the Bessemer and Lake Erie. Anyway, so this is a really cool, I actually have, this is the second one that I have. I have another one, and I thought it really would be cool to see these coupled together running on the railroad at some point here at our house. And it does have functioning doors on both sides, and has the U.S. Savings Bond logo on it, as well as all the information on the car itself. Now, this particular boxcar was made by Lionel in 1976, and it runs down to an 027 curve. And it's a really cool boxcar. I mean, nothing really super special about it. It's got working couplers. There's a little bit of rust on it, but that's no problem. And I can clean this up a little bit, and I can oil it up, and we're good to go. I do really love the Bessemer and Lake Erie logo on there, and so I really like this boxcar, even though it's a semi-scale boxcar, very much in the line of the stuff that Lionel was putting out in the 70s. But the second of these for me, and I think this is the only car that I have in my collection, and talking about stuff that I collected back when I was a kid, all the way up until recently when I started collecting stuff again. I think this is the only car I have that I have two of them, the exact same car. So I know it's really cool to see a lot of like cars or exactly the same cars coupled together and running on the model railroad. So this is my my effort to do just that. So next is this Lionel Penn Central caboose, and it's a lighted caboose. We're going to get this stuff out of the box. Some of this stuff is in the box, which is great. The Bessemer and Lake Erie boxcar is the only one that didn't come with a box. We'll get it out here in a minute, but this was made by Lionel in 1972, and it runs down to an 027 curve. And I do want to show everybody the ends of the boxes here so they can see the item numbers and everything. But it's really cool because it is an all black caboose, and Penn Central operated very heavily here in the state of Ohio. So I thought this would be a really cool addition to the railroad. And again, with some of these cars, this will run on what I have planned. It is more of a modern piece, doesn't really go with the post-war stuff, but a lot of these are really for display up on the little shelves displaying all of the rolling stock. So some pieces will make sense for what I'm running post-war on the railroad, and some won't. But they're really, a lot of these are for display. So let's get out of the box. All right, so even cooler out of the box, this all black caboose, and again, it has, you know, kind of the magnetic coupler there, and it does have a power pickup because it is lighted. But I think that's pretty cool, and it'll look neat on the right train. And some of these are dusty, so I know my friend has had these out on display or running on his railroad as well. So this needs a little, you know, little makeup brush on there. It might need a little bit of weight because, boy, it really. If this caboose is rocking, don't come a knocking. Is that what they're trying to tell us here? I don't know, but it might need a little weight, and it might need some of these tightened up. This was kind of that MPC era stuff. They weren't very heavy. I mean, some of you guys collect this. I love it as well. But anyway, got some power hooked up to the track. Let's take a look at it here right now. And there are the lights. That's pretty cool. That really looks good. Again, this flat black caboose is pretty amazing. Just the way it looks, and I bet you it really looks cool running at night with the lights on. So have to do a little maintenance on it. Those of you who bought the Menards Santa Fe caboose had some similar issues that I had with this here a few minutes ago. You know, put it on the track, getting ready to show what it looked like with the lights coming on, and the lights didn't come on. So I kind of picked it up and fiddled with it, and the lights came on. So obviously there's some things that need to be tightened up on the inside, and we'll take care of that and clean it off a little bit, and it'll look really good. This might be a really cool item to be sitting on a siding or something like that, just sort of sitting on its own. But anyway, Penn Central, very, very prevalent in the state of Ohio during the time period. And so it's kind of cool to have this in the collection. All right, let's take a look at the next one. All right, so now here is a non-Lionel item. This is a K-Line boxcar, and I will admit this is the first K-Line product I think I've ever owned, even maybe going back into my high school days and in my 20s when I was doing HO scale stuff. But anyway, so this is from K-Line. And again, we'll take a look at the end of the boxcar, or the box on this boxcar. And this is a Timken boxcar, and I really am excited about this one. This is a Timken boxcar, was made in 1995 by K-Line, and it'll run down to an 027 curve. But Timken is a major company here in my area, and they make roller bearings. I'm sure everybody's probably familiar with that, but also started in 1901 and has contributed a lot to manufacturing, especially the automobile industry. During World War II, they made all of the bearings for Jeeps, both the Ford and the Willys Jeep. And so I'm really kind of excited about having a Timken boxcar. I've never seen one like this. So let's get it out of the box. All right, this one does have some weight to it, which is really cool, and it has obviously functioning doors. But I will have to say, as much as I like Lionel, looking at this particular box, or this particular boxcar, I can tell that the paint is a lot nicer, the details are a lot nicer. It doesn't have a molded ladder. It's actually got a metal ladder here. And it's got metal ladders, and I think that, yeah, it's a metal brake on the end there, and another metal ladder over here. And it does have the magnetic couplers. These are metal, so this is a really nice piece of rolling stock for, again, semi-scale, and compared to the stuff that Lionel was making back in the 90s, this is a much nicer piece, and I really like this. A beautiful paint job on here, and really happy to have this, not only from the standpoint of that it's a very nice car, but also from the standpoint of, it's Timken. It's definitely a company that is a big part of our region here in northern Ohio. So really cool to have this, and excited about having it on the layout. So anyway, let's see what's up next. Okay, another MPC era item. Look at that right there, baby. You can see the General Mills logo and MPC, and then it says MPC of the Fun Group at General Mills. So anybody watching work for MPC back then? Was it a fun group? That's the question. Anyway, this is the Grand Trunk Western double-door boxcar. Was made, obviously, by Lionel in 1976, and again, runs down to an 027 curve. But interesting thing about Grand Trunk Railroad, it is, again, something that currently, a railroad that is currently based in Toledo, Ohio, but it is the American division of Canadian National. And so they ran all over the section of the Midwest, including in Ohio, and now they are based in Toledo. So let's get it out of the box, see what we got. Yeah, so really cool. And one thing I forgot to do before I took it out of the box was to show you the end of the box here. So there's your item number. 6-9764, and again, this was made in 1976. So we don't think of, well, at least people my age, don't think of the 70s as that long ago, but it was. So, so this is an older piece, but it does have the double boxcar doors, and that is on both sides, and it's a great color. Again, needs a little bit of cleaning, and I know my buddy has had these out and had them running, but there's a little bit of rust on these rails for the doors, and these are metal rails, so that's kind of cool. And they're plastic trucks, but these are metal rails, so there's some, it's a lot lighter than the K-line cars I was just talking about. So this is typical 1970s Lionel. But it's really cool. I love the color of this. And again, Grand Trunk Western has a real strong Ohio tie. And I think this will really look good again with all the semi-scale stuff that's going to be on the tracks here once I get those tracks set up at our house, other than just a demonstration track. So, all right, so that's a cool piece. And again, magnetic couplers there. So let's put this back in the box, and we're moving on to stuff that is larger, stuff that's actually scale. So take a look at what's next. All right, we're getting larger and larger as we go through this haul of stuff. Which, by the way, I want to thank my buddy Matt for bringing these down to me, and for the friends and family discount. So I got all of this stuff to put in the collection because, again, they tie into the type of things I collect, and he knew that, and it's really cool stuff. Every single one of these I really, really like, and I'm glad that they're going to be here with the collection that we've been sort of pulling out of boxes and starting to put on display. But this is another Lionel item. It's the Conrail 2-tier auto carrier made in 1990, and this will run down to an 031 curve, which is really important because 031, 036, somewhere in there is based on the train room that we're putting together. That's going to be the maximum curve at some parts of the railroad, which means that I'm kind of limiting myself to that across the entire two sides of the layout that we're doing. So again, this is kind of a modern car, but I'm not certainly not opposed to having times when I just have modern engines on the rails as opposed to post-war. And I don't have any full-size pieces right now as far as engines go, scale pieces. But that's not to say that I won't. I really like the post-war stuff, but I see some beautiful engines It's just whether or not they have a beautiful price on them. But anyway, so this is kind of a cool piece. Now, I am not sure, and I've been trying to do some research on this as far as the size. And let me get it out of the box and let's take a look at it, and I'll put a question out to you guys watching the video. Okay, here it is, and this is really cool. I mean, there's beautiful detail in this. There aren't any cars in it. I don't think that's normal. You know, that you get cars with these auto carriers. I'm fine with it. I've never had an auto carrier before, but one of the things, so I did notice that, you know, obviously magnetic couplers on the bottom, and this is classic MPC era type of stuff, or you know, getting out of MPC and up into the 90s, and when they were really starting to put a lot of detail into kind of specialty cars like this. But this is not a scale car. I think this is semi-scale because obviously auto carriers are pretty large. So I've seen scale auto carriers, and they're massive. I mean, they're like this high, and you can see this is not very wide, but it's cool nonetheless. And again, you know, Conrail had a lot of big operations going through Ohio, so it was cool to have them. Especially they had a fairly large yard out in the Lima area near Lima Locomotive Works, and I think it's a really cool car, and I don't have any Conrail stuff, so I thought this was a great thing to add. And again, this will run up to an 031 if there's a particular night or week or whatever when we're running modern stuff on the Cloverdale Transit Authority, then absolutely this is a perfect car for that, but it's also a perfect car for display. So, all right, now we're going to be moving on to the O-scale items that I bought. All right, I really like this one as well. I know it's kind of hard to see in the box because it is black, but this is a Chesapeake and Ohio 3-bay hopper by Lionel, 1996. This is O-scale, and it will go down to an 031 curve. So again, this will be a great piece to have on our railroad for the curve size that we're going to be limited to. So I want to get this one out of the box and take a look at it. Super cool. Wow. Okay, this is really a beautiful piece. And again, sorry, forgot to show you the end of the box. There's the model number and so forth. And I always love these Lionel electric train boxes, the orange and cream colored boxes with the blue lettering on it. That's my favorite. And this actually still was still in the plastic bag. So very nice. Does not have a really good looking coal load in there. It's not removable. I'm sure it is. If you had a hammer and a screwdriver, you could take that out, but I think I would avoid that. But anyway, yeah, it's really nice. So this is scale, and yeah, boy, is it big. When I look at it compared to the semi-scale coal hoppers I have, you can really tell the difference. And this and the other, our last car, probably are the only scale pieces that I have, because again, I don't run scale engines. I'm running semi-scale stuff, post-war MPC. But again, I love having the collection, and I also like having this stuff in the collection because when people come over and they're looking at this stuff, this is a great way to demonstrate the difference between semi and full O-scale. So anyway, yeah, so there are magnetic couplers, and also, if you can see in there are springs in the trucks. That little detail, that's awesome. But yeah, it is really cool, and I mean, boy, I will tell you that some of you guys out there I see on YouTube who are running a whole line of hoppers and gondolas that are all the same. That consist really looks really super cool. So I don't know if I'm going to be going out and buying about 30 of these, but this will look great in with the display. And then, you know, who knows? So as we're adding scale locomotives, we might pick up some more of these and put together a consist that will really be impressive. But it's a nice looking car. I really like it. Boy, it's smooth and it's got really good weight to it. So the little doors in the bottom are individually applied, but they don't open. And I was really careful to try that, but not try it too vigorously. So anyway, that's a really cool piece. And again, it's scale, from 1996. So it's a little bit older piece, but the detail is nice. It's these are all molded in ladders. They're not separately applied ladders, but I think it's going to really look good up on the shelf or sitting in a siding somewhere. All right, so here's the last piece coming up. Stand by. Okay, so here is the last piece out of this lot that I purchased from my friend. It's the Norfolk Southern 47-foot heavy-duty flat car with generator, and this is by MTH, of course. And this was released in 2016, which makes it makes it the newest piece that I have. I have a few things from the early 2000s, but this is actually the newest manufactured piece that I have officially. And here's the thing. It will run on down to an 042 curve. So more than likely, and of course I haven't got these benches built and track laid out, more than likely we're not going to have this running on our railroad, but it will be on display because it is very cool. I have not seen it out of the box yet. Let's take a look at the end of the box here for those of you scoring at home. So there you go. And again, it's in the MTH purple box, which is sort of their higher end pieces. It's not the Rail King stuff. And I just want to point out here, it says that it's attractively decorated. I've never heard anybody use that term, attractively decorated. When you guys go out and take your wife out to dinner and she dresses up, or ladies who are model railroaders as well, you take your husband out for dinner and he's all dressed up, make sure that you let them know that they're attractively decorated. I bet you they've never heard that before. I've never heard that before. So we're going to find out how attractively decorated this is. Stand by. Wow. Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I can see why this needs an 042 curve. It actually has 4 sets of trucks, and the front and rear trucks, well, actually all the front and rear sets of trucks are articulated to go around curves. So this is prototypical of this type of large flat car, but I can see why it takes, and I'll tell you what, it's a pain in the butt to put on get on the track. Once you put it on there, leave it on there, and then move it off to a siding. But yeah, it's really cool, and it's it's super detailed. Matter of fact, you know what? It's attractively detailed. Part of the attractive details are these spring tie downs, which they have, and I'm sure they go through here and somewhere. So it's basically to tie down this is a generator. So really cool. But I love the articulation in that. And so let me pick this up here just to show you the end of the generator. Look at that, man. I mean, you want to talk about details, but see this articulation so it can get around the curve. And now I'm going to have to try to get these back on the track so I can finish talking about this car. But yes, so attractively detailed, you are correct. You are correct. It is attractively detailed, and it's a real bear to get on the tracks and keep on the tracks. So it'd be interesting to see. I would not haul this around very fast for those of you who have scale engines, but it is Norfolk Southern, and Norfolk Southern, as we know, for good or bad, based on the news, Norfolk Southern runs very heavily through Ohio. A lot of Norfolk Southern passing through our area. As we know, we won't get into that, but this is a really cool car, and again, not something I would normally run on my railroad, but it's great just as a display piece, if nothing else. but this will be a great car when we finally get around to getting a scale locomotive and O scale. A car like this is going to really be a neat thing to pull around with a freight consist. So anyway, that about does it. Man, this is a long video, but that was a lot of stuff. So hopefully you made it through that, or you skipped through it and saw the things that you wanted. But basically, the real thing I want you to do is like and share this video. That really helps us out. Get out to people and have a good time. I really appreciate everybody that is subscribing to the channel, and those who are participating and commenting. We're really having a great time with this, and I hope you're having a great time with this, and I enjoy seeing everybody else's content here on YouTube. So thank you very much for taking a little time, taking a look at all these little goodies that we got here a few weeks ago, and we'll catch you on the next video.